Hey, it's second cup of coffee time. I found my thing that allows me to mount the camera somewhere else. It was tucked back and behind someplace I can't even reach, which tells me who did it, because we all knew who did it. He's absolutely not aware 90% of the time when he tucks something. It's funny. But I found it. It's... okay, it was right there. Okay, so it's not in the spot I put it yesterday, which means I may not have found it permanently. It may be gone again. Anyway, if it's still around, I'm going to make a spot to do permanent videos, so that I'll start with a cup of coffee already made. Yeah. So this shirt is another shirt that showed up in the laundry with Michael doing the wash in the last couple places where he had to go down to the laundromat. No idea. It's not mine. It's mine now, but yeah, no idea. I had something to talk about. I completely lost it. I really do that. I gotta start. I have to have a spot to do the videos and have a notebook and write stuff down and go from there. So, this is a good topic. Okay, here, I'll show you this. A couple years back, before it became popular, you can check my timestamps on my social media, I got on a fluid acrylic kick, but it wasn't called fluid acrylics originally. Anyway, it was called marbling acrylics. I got on a kick. It's an art technique that's been around since the 30s, since acrylic paints. And it was really, really, really popular in the mid-70s for making mid-70s background stuff. And I was doing it to get background stuff for book covers. That was my original thought. Okay. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can catch some of the, because this is one of the ones I did in the 1970s pattern. If you do fluid acrylics and you get this right here, you failed. That's not wanted. But anyway, I was doing it to get book background covers, because think about that as a book cover, and then, you know, words and whatnot, and maybe a rocket ship. Anyway, the reason fluid acrylics were invented, now I gotta find, that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. The reason fluid acrylics were invented is because, nope, that won't work. Okay, not gonna bother pulling it off right now. I'll go get another one. Hold on. Hold on. This is a piece of another one I did. Okay. Love the patterning. It's very, very nice. This is part of a pattern for a purse, for that sews up there, and then this comes down, and then the other piece is the other piece. I haven't done the other piece yet. But anyway, it's a small purse, small bag. The reason fluid acrylics were originally done is fluid acrylics are pleather. When you buy your pleather, that's been painted. It's acrylic paint over canvas. Okay? So that's why I originally started doing them, was for book covers and because I wanted some pleather to play with, because I didn't have any money for leather and paint's cheaper. So I've been cutting canvases apart. Hold on one more minute. One more minute. Inside every dollar store, cheapo canvas. Those were Ross Dress for Less in a giant package for a couple bucks. Ignore the styrofoam. Inside is a halfway decent frame. Okay? It's a halfway decent frame. Yeah, you've got the gaps and stuff like that, but those of us who do clay or do other stuff know how to fill it. Now this particular one, I put the styrofoam in, and then I'm going to take this, like this. This artwork is from Asterix and Obelix, which was one of the inspirations of Asterix and Joe. And I'm going to staple it on. And the husband's going to have a pin board out of fabric from when he was a kid. See? So that's something I'm doing. My coffee's done. I gotta put some creamer in it. I'm having a hard time with what is most likely just the thyroid-ish, because thyroids can make you run down and tired and depressed. I'm not depressed. I'm really not. But I am run down and I am tired and I cannot sleep enough. And yeah, I'm having problems with that. I'm trying to get this under control and it's not obeying. It's really not. It's actually gotten worse in the last month since I started trying to get it under control. You can see the displacement fluid here, and it's really annoying. And I'm sleepy, and I'm tired, and I'm worn out, and blah 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 blah. I hate this. I really, really hate it. See? It's called muzzling. It means I'm gonna have jowls when I'm older. Just two jowls that hang. It's one of those mornings, afternoons, 2 o'clock. Dinner tonight. So the hubby was at a local restaurant outlet store, and they had brisket slabs. You know, the slabs that are this big, and that thick, and half fat. 17 pounds. And he went, you know what? That's a really good price. So I think it was $2.99 a pound. I'm not sure. So I got it. That's our meat for the month. Which it's been 2 months since we had good red meat. Okay. So he brought it home. And I stood at the kitchen sink for several hours while I cut the fat slab off. Which, if I was young and healthy, would have been about a 20-minute process. And then I divided it into 2 portions, one to cook on Friday night, and one is in the freezer with some marinade. And one of the things with restaurant slab briskets, and the reason restaurant briskets taste so good, is they have a fat side and they have a narrow side, but they have a fat band that makes it all look the same width. This narrow side is what you get at Safeway or any other grocery store when you buy a corned beef or a brisket. This is halfway to prime rib. Okay? It's good quality meat. And restaurants use it 90% of the time, and they use this as filler for other things. Anyway, so we cooked the big side. And we've had it 2 nights in a row, and we've literally had, well, the recipe I used, and I'm not going to go get it because it's in the other room. I have a recipe for fast corning, which corned beef is corned because of nitrates. Okay? The reason corned beef and pastrami and bacon hold their color is nitrates. So I have a recipe, an old recipe, that uses orange peels for their nitrates and corns in the pot as you're cooking. And I've made it for the husband 1,000 times, and this was the first time he paid attention to the process. And he's like, this really tastes like corned beef. This isn't corned beef. I bought this. This isn't corned beef. Why does this taste like corned beef? And it's been a bit of a shock to him because I think that he honestly believed that I bought corned beef and claimed that I corned it over the years. Anyway, it tastes like corned beef. It is corned beef. It is preserved. So we've had that 2 nights in a row with mashed potatoes and green beans. And it's been yummy. Tonight, there's the big roast portion left. It's already cooked. I mean, it's cooked to the point of falling apart, but it's left. And I'm going to take some potatoes and I'm going to cube them, probably a little bit more than quarter, you know, so that my pieces are about that big instead of about that big. Anyway, by eighths. And I'm going to put them down in a pot, and I'm going to put the roast piece on top of that. And if there's any carrots in the bottom of the refrigerator, and I don't remember if there are or not, I'll put the carrots in. And I've got pumpkin. I'll cut up a pumpkin and throw the pumpkin in. And so roast carrots and roast pumpkin, and then the big chunk of roast beast, which is about that big by now. And then I'm going to put a splash of apple cider vinegar and a splash of balsamic vinegar, diluted in about a quarter cup of the broth from cooking it the first time, over top of it. And then I'm going to save out some of the fat from the broth from cooking it the first time, and I'm going to make a demi-glaze. Demi-glaze is a polite restaurant phrase for gelatinized fat. Jello fat. Anyway, buttery Jello fat. It's very, very good and very, very flavorful. And then I'm going to caramel up some of the onions that he sliced for me, because I can't do onions unless they're processed outside the house. And they should have been in the vinegar long enough that they won't try to kill me when I caramelize them. And that will be dinner tonight, which sounds like a lot more work than I'm probably going to be willing to do, but we're going to see how many steps in this process I can get done, because just roast beast and potato would be yummy. So, yeah. And we have a big bag of tallow in the freezer of the fat cap, which I will melt down to tallow, which I've done numerous times. I'm going to get a box of the air dry clay, or soft dry clay, and make pinch pot candles or lanterns for the tallow, because that just sounds like something fun to do. And none of my pinch pots have shown up since the moves. Pinch pots are the little, in India they use them a lot, and they paint them and they put rhinestones on them, and they're about this big, and they have a well about the size of a votive candle, but they have a channel and a little spot here, and you can lay a wick and it'll wick the fluid out, and you can use oil in them, or you can use a tallow type, a softer fat in them. So you can use butter in them if you have to. Olive oil works. The oil off of tuna fish cans works. Used cooking oil works. Anything works. That's the purpose of these little lamps, is that they take anything. And I had about 50 of them, and I've seen one in unpacking and then it disappeared into the mess. But I had about 50 of them, and I have not found the box they were in. So I'm going to make a bunch. And I might put rhinestones and buttons on some of them. We'll see. At least beads, because I have glass beads. So that's my plan for the next week or so. Yeah. I might just make corned beef hash for dinner. That's completely possible. I might just chop up the potatoes and throw them in the skillet and throw some corned beef in and call it dinner with some homemade Russian dressing or Thousand Island dressing. That sounds good too. Yeah. Let's give myself about another hour, so at about 3 o'clock I'll start working on this. Yeah. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.